45th Street in the village of Harlem. I'd like you all to get on your feet right now for the president and founder of the National Action Network, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. When do we want it? Now. Hug the person next to you, tell them you love them. National Action Network Change Choir. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be here another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here live in the House of Justice, and you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York. We're happy to be here another Saturday morning where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy, and to our musical director, Brother Brevon Neal. Let me say at the outset today that we dedicate today's broadcast and rally in memory of, first, as read during our Civil Rights History Moment, the 91st birthday of Malcolm X was on Thursday, May the 19th. And certainly we celebrate his life and his contribution to the struggle for our people and all people. Give a hand to the memory of Malcolm X. One of the things that I always say, National Action Network is built and developed out of the King Black Church civil rights kind of movement, but works with others. Well, one of the reasons that a lot of people cannot get to where they want to go is they don't know who they are and where they're trying to go. And one of the reasons that I always identify what National Action Network's roots are is because I want those in there. This is 25th anniversary year. Every Saturday for 25 years we've been doing this and have built it all over the country. I spend Saturday mornings now talking to Reverend Charles Williams, who does it in Detroit, and other of our chapters. But I want them to be grounded in who we are and then work with others. Because you can't have unity till you have identity. Everybody keep talking about we need to have unity. You first need identity. Because you can't unite with somebody else until you know who you are. You can't get married if you ain't figured out who you are. Hello. So when I celebrate Malcolm, I don't come out of the Malcolm movement, but I respect what Malcolm and his movement did for all of us. Just like there are many that don't relate to the King movement, but respect what he did. And as I got older, and I grew up in New York, which was not a King kind of town. But I became part of that movement when I was 12, and that's why it conditioned me late in life to take a lot of the criticism, because I always was with the crowd that wasn't in. See, a lot of y'all don't understand. People talk about, I had a young lady came and did my radio show yesterday, and she said, I don't understand how you stood up against criticism. I said, well, you gotta understand, I was boy preaching since I was 4, so I never really had a childhood like that, hanging out with other folk. Then when I joined civil rights at 12, all my friends were nationalists or Panthers or revolutionaries, so I stood out there. So I ain't never been with the crowd. So when they started attacking me, that was my meal. Growing up, it don't matter to me. I always been different. Well, how am I gonna try to get normal now? I ain't trying to be, I don't even know what normal is. But growing up as part of the King movement in Malcolm's town, I understand the pride and boldness and courage that he instilled in our community. And later in life, I became very close with his widow, Dr. Betty Shabazz, who in fact is the godmother of Dominic and Ashley. So I celebrate his birthday, and we have one of our staunch members here was a follower of Malcolm and is responsible, stand up, for making sure. She said, Reverend, this might be King movement, but y'all hang Malcolm's picture up in the House of Justice. Give her a hand. Sister Margaret. All right, and she was there on February 21st, 1965, when Malcolm was assassinated. She was in the audience at the Audubon Ballroom when Malcolm was assassinated on a Sunday afternoon. And here she is, 51 years later. Every Saturday morning, she's here to Saturday Action Rally. So we are glad about it, and others. We got some others that are here come from the Malcolm movement. Now, I was 10 years old when Malcolm got killed. So I want Kirsten and all of y'all that call me the old guy, no, I'm young to them. 51 years ago, I was 10. Somebody asked me about what kind of person was Malcolm. I have no idea. I remember I was speaking in Washington, D.C. at a school, and they had a young man read my bio introducing me. I think he's about in the 8th grade. And I was licensed, ordained as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington. But he got to reading real fast, and he said, and Reverend Al Sharpton, who's been out here leading for decades, and he was ordained and licensed by Booker T. Washington. I said, hold it. I said, hold it, I ain't that old now. Somehow I think Kirsten slipped that Bible to him. I think also, we also want to dedicate the broadcast to the memory of Sister Afeni Shakur.
That's right.
The mother of Tupac Shakur, who passed week before last. Give her a big hand. So let me tell you this, when Tupac was in jail, I got a call from an activist who had been in the Panther Party with Afeni, Charles Barron, who's now an assemblyman, and said that they had put Tupac in solitary confinement, and she wanted to know if we could help get him out. And he wasn't in office then. I called the state prison commissioner. We went up, and the commissioner said, Reverend, if he will go and sign in and become part of a equivalency education program, I'll let him out of solitary. And I met with Tupac. We got him out, went back to see him. As years went by and his career was reignited, and his mother and he began doing big business. She sent a big donation to National Action Network for us to continue our work. And she supported us, and she's one of the few people that you can say that we've helped that came back when we didn't expect her to come back. She built a foundation in Tupac's name after he was killed and continued his work in art, and she has been a tremendous help for our community and people. And they'll be having a memorial service for Bishop Herbert Daughtry. Told me on the phone yesterday, he's not here, he's away today, but he wanted us to know they'll be having a service to the memory of Afeni Shakur. Give her another hand. I want to acknowledge the presence of Juanita Young, mother of Malcolm Ferguson, in the house. Where is she? Give her a hand. All right. Let me say in way of adding to the announcements that tomorrow morning on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton, 8 a.m. on MSNBC, I'm going to be covering an array of issues you really need to watch. And then I'm going from there and preaching for the birthday Sunday of Reverend Michael Walron at 1 Corinthian Baptist Church. And Reverend Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, our chairman, is preaching the 7:30 service, and I'll be preaching the 9:30 and 11:30 service. So you at Radio Land that have no church home, or if you got one, go to one of the services tomorrow and then go to yours as we celebrate Reverend Michael Walron, and I'll be preaching at 9:30 and 11:30 services at 116th Street and Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard. Also doing Politics Nation at 8 o'clock. And then from 1 Corinthians, we'll be doing the radio show in the morning. I'm also very happy as NAN is happening all over the country. Dominique, who heads our membership, is in Miami today with Sabrina Fulton and the mothers that have suffered victims, losses. Are down with her Mother's Weekend they're doing, and Dominique is a part of that. Reverend Shane Harris, who heads San Diego, California chapter and Office of National Action Network, is there dealing with voting today, and they're having a forum and dealing with some of the issues around, this is the 20th anniversary of the Welfare Reform Act. One of the things that we have got to really deal with is the fallout from a lot of what happened and didn't happen. And I'm dealing with a lot of that on the show. We'll get into that in a minute. We also have this week Ebony Riley, who heads our Washington, D.C. Bureau, and Reverend DeVest Toon, our National Field Director, have put together the finishing touches on this education tour that Nan is going to do at the University of Phoenix. So I want you to know what we're doing, because we don't just rally here on Saturday mornings. We have rallies all over the country, but we're also doing substantive work. So when people talk about Nan, Nan ain't just what I'm doing. We have members and leaders and chapters all over the country. When you see Minister Reverend McCall, who runs the crisis department, bringing people in this morning, this crisis department is open every day, all night. So Nan never sleeps. We're coast to coast now all over the country and never ever sleeps. Don't look at Hardy nodding and think that's a symbol of the movement. Thursday night is legal night, and don't forget, you that need some kind of legal questions answered, be here Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Last Saturday, Sister Kemp was here, who came to legal night and came to Mr. Hardy and began working with him and got her son's sentence commuted by President Obama. And she told the story here that if it had not been for legal night, she would not have had that done. And come here, then wasn't even a member, never gave a dime. And her son will be home in September and say he's coming by here first. She said again today. And I'm looking forward to seeing her son. One of the things that, and here's another woman, Eric Garner's daughter here this morning. Every week she's here in school now. Stand up. Give her a hand. Emerald. There's some folk that come through the movement as long as they're an issue. Others come through the movement as long as they're angry. But some come and say, you know what, this is what I'm about. And they stay because they believe in, if it wasn't for a movement, we all would be in trouble. I appreciate it. I look at right now, Reverend Charles Williams and minister in Flint, Michigan, Minister Warren. When you look at the fact, you know, there's so much that goes on that I think a lot of you miss the depth of what we're dealing with. Can you imagine that a city would poison its own people? I mean, I hear all this talk about, I wouldn't have took this if I was back in the day and this, that, and other. You are living at a time right now. I ain't talking about in slavery time. I'm not talking about in segregation time. Right now, where a governor decides that the folk that were elected, I'm gonna move aside. Appoint an emergency manager. Well, Remy had to do that because the city was broke. It was broke when they elected the mayor and the city council. That's who they elected to take care of the city being broke. The governor decided, I don't care who y'all elected, I'm going to appoint an emergency manager. The emergency manager decides well, we're going to quit taking water out of what you have done in the past. I'm going to change the pipeline. They changed the pipeline, didn't deal with the contaminants, and for 2 years, and still running, they've had lead poison water that will permanently affect the children in that city. This is a city decision. Nobody would bring it up. When they started testing it, the state workers there in the state building in Flint started saying don't use the water, and brought in bottled water and brought in other water to the water cooler and kept letting the people drink the water. And Minister Warren and Reverend Williams from NAN were the ones that first started exposing this. This is happening right now. So one of the things that we've tried to do with the rallies every week and with the organization and what we do around the country is first give you information. Then once you get the information, you can go to your analysis. But most of us don't even know what we're talking about. God called me the other day. Reverend Al, I ain't into all of this stuff. I said, okay. He said, I think we should just go on back to Africa. I said, all right. I said, no problem. Where in Africa are we going? I mean, what country will accept 30 million of us? I'll tell you what will take a half of me? Everybody in Africa is fighting the same stuff we fighting here. But we've reduced our movements into slogans now. And you just say something that you heard rather than what you thought out and what you can categorically achieve. And if somebody go along with your slogan, they'll sell out. When you don't even know yourself what you say. God called me on a radio show. Well, Mal, I'm not with Hillary, I'm voting for Trump. I said, why you gonna vote for Trump? He said, well, I just think it'd be better for black business. We need black business. I said, okay. And why do you think Trump would be better for black business? Said, well, I don't think Hillary and Bill Clinton did nothing for black business. And I said, hold on, I didn't ask you what they didn't do. I asked you, why do you think Trump would be good for black business? Well, Hillary, I said, hold it. I didn't ask you about Hillary. We got that. You don't like Hillary, ain't your cup of tea, got that. Why do you think Trump would be good? Well, he's a businessman. I said, all right, I live in New York. Trump's in New York. Trump Organization, New York. Name me the black businesses he do business with. That is real simple. You think he good for black business? Name me the black construction company, black plumbers, the blacks he contract with right now. He the boss, he the owner, he don't have to go to Congress, nothing. Who in the 30, 40 years he been in business, black, has he done business with? You just saying something. And we've got to stop this just saying something kind of activism. Just hollering at the expense of people. Emerald and I talk about all the time. Everybody, a year and change, almost 2 years now, her father was killed. If they had everybody ran up talking about how mad they was and what they were going to do, they couldn't have room for them. But folk use your emotions and then move on. And you can count those that'll be with you in the long run. That's why one thing I agreed with when President Obama got in, he said, now wait a minute, he said this in a circle, no new friends, because we got to focus on the work we do. Because everybody want to be your friend when things are you in the spotlight. But when the light goes somewhere else, they going with it. And then what has compounded it is social media. Because because now everybody think they a star because they got a Twitter account or Instagram. So you get you and about 5 followers and think you leading somebody. I mean, just a bunch of self-indulgence. Just standing around all day taking pictures of yourself. Now you talking about idolatry. Here's me at 9 in the morning. Here's me at 12 noon. Did you see me look this way? Just idolizing yourself. Me in a long dress, me in a short dress, me in a bikini. Just all kind of shot. Who cares? I mean, what amazes me, girl asked me the other day, are you following me on Instagram? About what? But if you develop a mentality of self-indulgence, it stops people from studying other stuff because they're so involved only in themselves. So they don't read no more. They don't look into nothing no more because it's all about them. And when you build a culture on self-indulgence, you end up with people like Donald Trump on the way to the White House because you've developed a culture of idolatry. Donald Trump went yesterday, spoke at the National Rifle Association. In it, he said that Ms. Clinton doesn't believe in the Second Amendment, doesn't believe in guns. She will let people walk down the street that you don't want walking down the street. You know what they look when you look at them. Well, what that's supposed to mean? Oh, y'all watch Politics Nation in the morning. I'm playing the clip. It's a coded bias that is the base of his campaign. Us against them. He started it with the whole birther movement. Us against them. The president ain't one of us. He wasn't born here. Us against them. And if we are not careful, you will see a reversal of everything that was fought for in the civil rights movement right in lifetime if we don't do what we need to do. He listed this week 11 folk that he would make Supreme Court justices. Every one of them. Right wing, all white, and all connected to the right. Now, this election ain't about whether you like Hillary or whether you like Trump. This election is about voting rights. Continuing to reform the criminal justice system. Health care. Public education. All of the things that Obama started. Commuting sentences. Changing how policing is. Video cameras on police. All of that would be reversed. They are running to stop the move that Obama and them started and to stack the Supreme Court so that it becomes permanent law and it will be 2 or 3 generations before you can turn it around. That's what this election is about. We just celebrated last week on May 17th, 61st anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education, where they said separate but equal does not exist. Well, 6 decades later, it is still law because of the Warren Court. That's how long Supreme Court decisions impact. If they get 1 or 2 more seats on the Supreme Court and reverse all of the things that health care, voter rights and all, it'll be 60, 70 years before you can reverse that. And people will be sitting back in history. I was telling my daughter Ashley yesterday, what you got to do is at life, look at what it's going to look like now, 10, 20, 30 years from now. We're going to be asking what were they thinking about. You got a reality star, live in a gold-plated penthouse, representing poor folk, and you sitting up there scratching your head, talking about who you like. What kind of craziness? Just like you couldn't get off my radio show this week without everybody arguing about the bathroom laws in North Carolina. Transgender, I ain't going to no bathroom, no transgender. First of all, you don't know whether you're in the bathroom now with a transgender. But they raise these issues as a distraction. Because you won't worry about health care or education or police reform if you somewhere worried about transgenders in the bathroom. First of all, they made the law in North Carolina. The governor of North Carolina is running for re-election. So he made the law to get the right wing all jacked up. How I know that is in 2001, I was running for president. That's when they start coming out with same-sex marriage. Yes. Got their base up. That's how Bush be carried. So now they got y'all arguing about transgender. In the law, though, it's not only transgender. In the same bill, the bill is something you need to look at. It's called HB 2. The HB 2 bill that bans transgenders from the bathroom also says you cannot sue for job discrimination based on race or anything else in the state of North Carolina. Now, HB 2 bans transgenders and bans you from going into state court for job discrimination based on race or gender, which means if somebody on your job discriminates, this law says you can't go into state court. You can only go into federal court. Federal court is much more expensive, and when you look at the Supreme Court decision of Ashcroft versus Iqbal, Ashcroft versus Iqbal, which says you can't sue in federal court for those that are in the higher positions of discrimination by lower people. So they in effect have got you where you can't bring discrimination suits from North Carolina because of the federal law got to reach a certain bar. And the state court you barred, and you run around talking about whether you wee-wee and with a transgender and voting for that. That's why y'all need us doing this stuff every week. This is in that same law. Ain't nobody got a transgender law in New York. So you all mad about what? And like I said last week, who is going to check to see who's a man and a woman? This week, there are 3-hour delays at O'Hare Airport in Chicago because they don't have enough TSA workers. Now you're going to have TSA workers in the bathroom checking out who's a man and a woman? You ain't got enough at the screening to let folk even get in the airport. So who's going to be the inspectors? Who's going to be inspecting at the schools? Who's going to inspect here at the House of Justice? Homeboy just come in, went to the bathroom. His kid's supposed to run in behind him and see if he's a man and a woman? And then if somebody run in and tell you I want to inspect you. How you gonna like that? God said to me, Rebel, how you feel if your daughter's in the room, in the bathroom with a transgender? I said, how I feel if they called me and said they had to strip butt naked to prove they were women? That's what you're saying, because it's all a distraction to get you off the point. Anybody running around looking at you? Well, you know, some people may rape. They're going to rape anyway. There ain't no record of no epidemic of transgenders raping folk in the bathroom. The issue is trying to win this election. And we cannot be so distracted by a lot of foolishness. Let me tell you something. You must understand that they never dreamed that they would be able to turn this country in a different way once they had elected Reagan and made this a conservative country. Never dreamed. Now you get, after all those years, Obama comes in and turns a lot of that around. And they're determined now, whatever distraction and whatever comes about that is something that they can use, that they will do that because they're trying to get the ship turned back toward conservative and anti-us that are in need of strong government. Let me tell you something. When you look at the only way you build and protect an economy that takes care of the poor and the middle class is, one, you got to be able to sustain them, and you got to be able to protect them. One of the most important things ever done in the last several years is when President Obama signed this week and ordered that overtime pay was now extended up to $47,000 a year, not just a ceiling of $27,000. That affected millions, 42 million to be exact, of people. Now, why is that important? One, the only way you're going to build a middle class is you've got to add to the income. And getting overtime pay for people that make $30,000, $35,000 a year if they work overtime, it puts money in their pocket. They don't talk about that. Obama ain't done nothing. Obama extended overtime pay, gave health insurance, 20 million folk that didn't have it has it. Cut black employment in half. But Obama ain't done nothing, because he didn't come to your fish fry with a dashiki and put his fist up. And as long as they can play on our emotions, they can then guide our politics and institute their policies and rob us of where we are. My great fear is that our forefathers will look at us and say, you were able to be bluffed out of everything we died to establish for. They have a movie on tonight, HBO, on Lyndon Johnson. And in the movie they talk about how he fought and cajoled people and all to get the Civil Rights Act passed. And then Dr. King and those marched and made the issue to get the Voting Rights Act passed. And they talk about how Dr. King and he would meet and put the pressure on the Senate and who to call and get this bill through. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting, Kirsten. They lionized Dr. King for meeting and dealing and getting something through with Lyndon Johnson. But the militants asked me why I meet with Barack Obama. let me understand this. It was good and progressive for King to meet and have influence on Lyndon Johnson. But we have a black president, and civil rights leaders shouldn't be meeting and influencing him. We elect mayors, but we ought not be able to talk to them after we elect them. And if we do, we sell out. What did we elect them for? I mean, the ignorance that we are running around with, eloquent ignorance. Profoundly ignorant. I want justice, but I ain't gonna talk to the folk I can get it from. Ignorant. I want change, but I'm not gonna talk to the people we put in power that can change us. Ignorant. You can't eat if somebody don't cook. But we're in an era of manipulating emotions. Don't think, just feel, just react, just emote. And we respond to that. And it's across the board. You turn the television, just it will play with you. Kardashians, bunch of that. Y'all just watching foolishness. Who gonna pull out each other's weave? Who got caught a sex tape? Grown folk. Up here watching this craziness. Go to church, who can just make you feel better for the day? No theology, no depth, no teaching, nothing. Just make you feel better. Just, ooh, you feel better, go home. Oh, bring me some money and then go home. Politics, rah, rah, emotion. Crazy and ignorant. And somehow we must break through this and be clear about where we're going. That's why we showed roots at the convention, at National Action Network Convention. If we understood the struggle that we inherit and what is expected of us, then we'd stop listening to emotions and ignorance and deal with what we're supposed to deal with. I told somebody on a plane, this is a personal commitment that we should all have. Well, what do you mean, Reverend? I said, well, when you look at the fact, a couple of years ago, when they came out in the newspaper that had done a tracing of my family tree, and they found out that Strom Thurmond's family had owned my great-grandfather as a slave. And I went down to the place in Ellenville, South Carolina, saw the plantation my great-grandfather was a slave. It came to me very clearly that every time I write my name, I am writing the ownership of my family. Because I don't know my name. I know the name of who owned my great-grandfather. That's where Sharpton comes from. So every time a black American write their name, you are writing the ownership of your family. You don't know your name. Your name ain't Culpepper. Your name ain't Jones Brown. You don't know your name. You know the name of your owners. So since you are the children and the grandchildren of the owned, then what responsibility do you have? They owned your great-grandfather, worked them and never paid them. When they got out of slavery, they formed a new form of slavery, of indentured servitude. Locked them them up for things like vagrancy and made them work again for nothing. Segregated them, put them in the back of buses. And now here you come. And you gonna sit down in front of a big screen and watch somebody's big behind in a sex tape? That's the thanks they get? You done gone from Fannie Lou Hamer being taught to your children to leaving them in the room watching videos of the Kardashians. We've lost a sense of purpose. Celebrants of ignorance. Sloganeer, Trump, make America great again. Great when? What are you talking about, Trump? Make America great again? When was America great that you're referring to? Were you talking about how great America was when a black woman sat down in Montgomery, Alabama in '55 and looked a racist law in the face and said, you can arrest me, but I'm not giving up my seat? Are you talking about when America was great that day? Were you talking about America great when Medgar Evers went in the belly of hate and discrimination and fought for the right to vote and went home one night and they shot him down like a dog in his own driveway? But we went from the blood of Medgar to the inauguration of Barack Obama. Is that what you talking about, Trump? Maybe you talking about when Fannie Lou Hamer stood up in Mississippi and said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's got to be what you talking about. You don't know what greatness is. Great ain't you buying no private jet. Great ain't you building no Trump Tower. Great is when the least of these became the best of these. When the first became last and the last became first. You don't know what great is. I remember every Friday night, years ago, before I had my own show on MSNBC, Charles Matthews used to have me debate Reverend Jerry Falwell before he died. And they all would talk about family values. That was the theme in the 90s, family values. But they don't know about family values. When you are born with a silver spoon in your hand, when you have an endowment, when you inherit a dowry, it ain't hard to keep things together. But when you're born with a shovel in your hand, when you can't get certain jobs and can't get no bank loans and no cash flow, and somehow you make broken pieces work, that's family value. My mama took a welfare check and food stamps and got on her arthritic knees and scrubbed floors, but made sure my sister and I never missed a meal and that I had good clothes to wear to church on Sunday. That's family values. I never heard her complain. I never heard her say a regret. I never heard her use a profane word. You don't know about family values. You need my mama to teach you about family values. How when nothing was there, she believed God would make a way out of no way. You don't know nothing about family values. I went to Somers Junior High School in Brooklyn in East Flatbush. I remember many mornings. We didn't have much, but I never heard my mother complain. She'd be in the kitchen humming one of them gospel tunes, figuring out how she was going to get us through that day. I remember one morning she took a banana, peeled it back and sliced it, put it on a piece of bread with mayonnaise, and said, "You're going to have a new delicacy today called a banana sandwich." I didn't know we wasn't supposed to have a banana sandwich, but my mama wouldn't let me feel less than anybody else in school. Family values is to take little bit and make something happen and give pride in your child so nobody laughing at them understands that your head ain't down. She taught me I was somebody when the sociologists had already said I was nobody. But I didn't believe the sociologists. I believed my mama, because she taught me if God be for you, if God be for you, I don't care what they teach in school, if God be for you, it's more than the whole world against you. And as you grow, he'll make your enemies leave you alone. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thy envious against the workers of iniquity. They may have a season, they may last a little while, but they will soon be cut down. Hold on, don't back up. Hold on, it may look hard, but hold on. It get dark sometimes, but hold on. It gets murky sometimes, but hold on. God will make a way. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. Hey, singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody sing. Everybody singing. We want justice. Got to have justice. Everybody singing. I'm gonna open the doors of the movement. There may be somebody here today, hears us on the radio, watch some of our activities on the television, but never became a member of the National Action Network. If you're here today and want to join, all you have to do is come to me and shake my hand, and we'll sign you up this morning and make you a member of National Action Network. Come on. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Everybody singing. Hey, singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Yeah. One more time, Lord. One more time, Lord. One more time, Lord. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody's singing. Hey. All right. We'll raise our offering. Moving quickly. I tell y'all, we meet 9 to 11. I try to get you out by 11. I get up early in the morning. I was up 5 o'clock holding the reins after 11 o'clock. I know a lot of y'all was saying it's gonna rain today, but I took care of the rally. Now you might get soaking wet on the way home, but I got you here. So give an offering of thanks. All right, I'm gonna raise our offering. Everybody give the best of your ability. I'm gonna raise the offering and take in our new members and let you go. Sister Carmela, y'all doing class today? All right, they doing class right after. Sister Carmela is still mourning for Prince. You can see with her hair. Purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. I ain't doing no more. We had great singers today. Give a hand, Brother Whitfield. Brother Morgan. Give Morgan a hand. I was in the back on the phone getting the action rally together. I heard Morgan. I almost come out here early this morning. I looked out here, was looking for the choir. I forgot y'all had a track. Then Whitfield come telling y'all the purpose of y'all's life. Don't think because I ain't out here I'm not listening. All right. I need about 8 people that can give $100 or more to come first. About 8 people. Brother Minister Winston Gilchrist, $100. 100s, come on, come on, come on. Guardians, $100. Come on.